Hey guys, Buffing Game Ed today bringing out a video for our Insurgency Sandstorm ISMC mod, and today we're covering the AK-12. So last week in the video we covered the AK-105 or the Alpha AK variant in 5.45 by 39mm, and today we're covering the newest addition to the Kalashnikov rifle family, that being the AK-12, as well as its counterpart, the AK-15, which goes along with the AK-12, just a different caliber conversion with the 7.62 by 39 versus the 5.45 by 39. But here in the gameplay, you'll see we're going to be using the AK-12, and you'll see I'm going to end up putting a holographic optic on this. I just think it's more aesthetically pleasing. You can see some of the different sight options here. But again, ISMC is a really awesome mod for Insurgency Sandstorm, which is a community as well as a developer-driven mod. The community and the modding community and the developers work together on this project to add a bunch of different weapons and attachments to the game. And you can see some of those attachments here. And the goal here with this mod is to make it more realistic. Like I said, additional weapons, additional more realistic attachments that are known around the world, such as we have Zenico rails, Zenico muzzle brakes, Zenico handguards, a lot of different mag pull items, etc. So here on this weapon, you can see we're actually going to be using I'm using a flip with a Cobra sight there for a 2x plus a Cobra, so we can flip that sight. We're going to be using a Zenico style muzzle brake on this. We're going to be using the quad stack casket mag for the 5.45 by 39. I'm going to put a black PEC 15 on the right hand rail, which is a nice addition. You can really choose laser lights where you want the PEC 15, the lasers, and the flashlights. The ammo, run armor piercing, and then also precision point shooting, as well as the different camouflage here for the multicam, which is most well known, I would say, with the AK-12 images that we can see. You'll see some of those on screen here, as well as just the plain black version. So this game does a really great job of representing this rifle. Again, you can see, we'll jump into some of the gameplay here, just playing with this. This is actually another addition here of the mod. This is a Battlefield 3 map. I don't remember the name of the map off the top of my head. It's escaping me right now, but I believe I want to say North Shore Canals, but I can't recall if that's correct. But it's really fun. Again, this map was added as part of the community mod. Jumping back into this from my Battlefield 3 days. Tons of fun. This is a great map. One of the most well-known maps, I would say, definitely in Battlefield 3 as well as Battlefield history for sure. And again, the AK-12, if you're not aware that it is chambered in 5.45 by 39, this is basically supposed to be the newest generation or iteration of the Kalashnikov rifles to replace the AK-74 and the AK-74M series of Kalashnikov rifles. So if you're not familiar with Kalashnikov history, basically the original AK-47, then that was followed by the AKM, which was a more modernized variant of that, replaced the stamped receivers, or the milled receivers with stamped receivers, and made some other modifications to the weapon to bring it up to more modern specs there in 1956. And then, fast forward to 1970s, we had the AK-74 in 1974. Later on in the 1990s, the AK-74M, which again was a more modernized variation of the AK-74. And then in the early 2000s, we had the AK-8, or the late 90s, early 2000s. Throughout the course of a few years there, we had the AK-100 series, which was a variation of different short barrel rifles, like we covered with the AK-105 in last video for the Alpha AK builds. We had the AK-105, 104, 101, 102, 103, 107, 108, and all those were different chambers in 5.55 by 45 NATO, where some of the 101s and the 102s. You had the 103 and the 104, which was 7.62 by 39mm. Then you had the 105, which was the, again, 5.45 by 39mm, and then the 107, which again was 107 and 108, which was 5.45 by 39 and 7.62 by 39. Now, there's a lot of different variations of the rifle. Now, fast forward to 2010, 2011, they want to look to replace the AK-74M, since the AK-74 and the AK-74M were formerly in service since they were introduced in the 1970s, and the AK-74M still in service, even though we had different variations like the AK-100 series. Those were really only used in special circumstances, typically, like the AK-105. Some specialized GRUs still use those today for just a short barrel variations like the AK-104 and the 105s. And then They wanted to replace that with a more modernized version of the AK, because we had introduction of different third-party companies like Zenico, who were producing different type of rail dust covers, different Zeniko style railed handguards for different attachments to really modernize the weapon, the AK platform, similar to like the M4 platform here in the United States. So the AK-12 was a prototype version, which was initially put in place in, I believe, 2011, 2012. It went through what is called the Rachnik trials, which is essentially just the trial of new weapons. I believe we did the same thing here in the United States back with the XM8 went through this trial. A lot of different weapons, trying to find basically a new service rifle to replace the AK-74M. And that version of the AK-12 was based on what was, at the time, the AK-200 series, which was really a pretty large internal rework of the weapon itself. It was a lot more expensive to produce. It was more, I would say, advanced and different from what soldiers are used to with the AK-74 series. So it was a big leap in different additions to the weapon. However, it actually failed the Rachnik trials. A, it cost a little bit too much, and B, it was just the design had some flaws in it. So the AK-12 failed the Rachnik trials. It was put on hold until 2014, 2015, when it was they had a new chief designer under Izhmash and the Kalashnikov concern, and it was picked back up again. They made some different changes, really just sticking with the tried and true AK-74 platform that everyone in the Russian military was used to at that point, and modernizing that one. And that was actually dubbed the AK-400 series internally with Izhmash and Kalashnikov concern. And that's really what we see here in the game today, is the AK-400 variation of the AK-12. Like I said, internally it's very, very similar to what everyone's used to in the Russian military, that being the AK-74, AK-74M. However, you have the addition of rails on the handguard. You have a rail dust cover built in for modernized attachments like optics, like we see here. Whereas in the older versions, like the AK-74s and previous versions to that, you have to use really like a dovetail mount or some sort of handguard modification from Zeniko or other third-party retailers to attach optics on the front of the handguard on the top Picatinny rails there. So this really brings the Russian, the known Kalashnikov rifle up to modernized standards to allow you to equip optics, lasers, lights, everything we see here in game. We have that Zeniko handguard, or excuse me, the Zeniko foregrip there that we selected here in game. And again, we have that nice multicam for the AK-12. So really great weapon. This is my all-time favorite weapon for sure. It's really good to see that it was brought into this game, Sandstorm, with the ISMC mod. It was not included in the base version of the game, Insurgency Sandstorm. Now, I believe Sandstorm came out in 2018. So at that point, the Russian military actually did formally adopt the AK-12 platform to be produced, as well as they adopt the A545, which is essentially the modernized version of the AEK-971 for use by special forces. So the different special forces Spetsnaz groups would be utilizing that, as well as mass production of the AK-12 to formally replace the AK-74 series of rifles. So it was interesting that it wasn't included in Insurgency Sandstorm, the base game, as well as we really don't see the AK-12 platform in other games. Obviously, you've been following my channel. You know I'm most known for and built my audience in Modern Warfare, and that's one of the things I complain about the most with that game, with Modern Warfare and Warzone, is that we don't have a modernized AK platform, that being the AK-12. We have, in that game, an original AK-47 from the very late 1940s, 1950 production model, not even an AKM, which is very odd in a game called Modern Warfare to have an original milled receiver AK platform. But here in game, the modding community as well as the developers were able to add the AK-12, the modernized platform. This is not the prototype version that you may know of, which initially, like I said, failed the Rachnik trials based on the AK-200 platform. This is the AK-400 platform that you can see here in game. It handles beautifully. We have point fire on here, so when my laser is toggled on, you can see I have that blue laser, and when I do that, I'll point fire the weapon. So I'm not going to be ADSing. I'm going to just point fire, similar to like you see in Modern Warfare and even other games for that matter. It just utilizes the accuracy of that laser. That's really what it's there for. Unlike other games, the bullets are going where the barrel is pointed, which makes sense. And so it's really good to utilize point fire, and you'll see me toggle it on and off based on when I'm in situations where I need to use my optics. And again, we have that Cobra with the 2x flip sight on there as well, which is a really unique and nice attachment to see for the Russian weapons here in this game. But this mod, again, a lot of fun to play. I really enjoy this mod. You can easily install this just by searching for it in the modification port section of Insurgency Sandstorm. It takes a little bit to download, but a lot of fun to play. I'm going to leave you guys with the gameplay just so you can hear this thing pop off here. A lot of fun. I love the realism aspect of this game. Insurgency Sandstorm definitely easily becoming one of my favorite games to play lately. You'll also see a little bit of M110 action in here. I'll be covering that in a later video coming up eventually, but you should see a little bit of action here with that at least too. Let me know what you guys think down below of the AK-12, as well as, more importantly, the Sandstorm ISMC mod. Let me know what you guys think of that. Definitely, if you have Sandstorm, definitely I would say check this thing out. It's a lot of fun to play. I'm having a blast with this. Sandstorm in general is fun, however, this mod really takes it to the next level. It's really everything I was looking for in a game. So I'm going to leave you guys with the AK-12 gameplay here. This is Buffner Gaming with the ISMC mod for the Insurgency Sandstorm and the AK-12. Till next time, Buffner Gaming, out.
All right,
Flash out!
service within station. Just let us know what you need.
Let's move! We're taking Fuck!